The 2026 Formula One season has barely begun. The first private test in Barcelona is only just getting underway, yet we already have our first major scandal. For weeks, the paddock has been buzzing with rumours of a so-called illegal engine trick. At the centre of it all is Mercedes, the team that defined the last hybrid era, and Red Bull. But what exactly is going on? Is this cheating, or is it genius? And why are Ferrari, Honda, and Audi so furious? Today, we are going to break down the compression ratio scandal that threatens to derail the season before the first race has even started. Let's start with the basics. To understand the controversy, you need to understand the rule. The 2026 regulations introduced a strict limit on the engine's compression ratio. The rule states it cannot exceed 16.1 to 1. This was done to control costs and stop manufacturers from spending millions on exotic combustion technologies. However, the rulebook contains a critical detail. This measurement must be taken when the engine is static. That means cold, turned off, and sitting on a bench in the inspection bay. This is where the clever engineers at Mercedes, and reportedly Red Bull, via their new Ford partnership, spotted a loophole. They realized that the rule governs the engine when it is being inspected, not when it is being raced. So, they allegedly designed their connecting rods using special alloys that expand significantly under heat. Here is how it works. When the engine is cold and the FIA inspector measures it, the connecting rod is short. The piston doesn't travel as high. The ratio is exactly 16.1. Legal, perfect. But when the car hits the track and the engine temperature soars to hundreds of degrees, that metal expands. The rod physically grows longer. It pushes the piston higher into the cylinder head, squeezing the fuel-air mixture tighter. Suddenly, that legal 16.1 ratio transforms into a whopping 1 to 8 to 1. Why does this matter? Because higher compression means a bigger bang. A bigger bang means more power. Estimates suggest this trick is worth between 10 and 15 horsepower. In road car terms, that is nothing. In Formula One, 15 horsepower is roughly 4/10 of a second per lap. 4/10. That is the difference between pole position and fifth place. In a sport fought over thousandths of a second, an advantage of 4/10 is not a margin, it is a chasm. As you can imagine, the rivals are apoplectic. Ferrari, Honda, and the newcomers at Audi have reportedly lodged formal complaints with the FIA. They argue that this violates the spirit of the regulations. I always smile when teams talk about the spirit of the rules. In Formula One, there is no spirit. There is only the letter of the law. If the rule says measure it when cold and it passes when cold, then it is legal. Mercedes and Red Bull have simply read the rulebook better than everyone else. However, the political situation is tense. The FIA is stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they ban this trick now, they are punishing innovation. If they allow it, they risk a season where two teams have an unassailable advantage, potentially ruining the show. The FIA's technical director, Nicolas Tombazis, has admitted they want to resolve this before the first race in Australia to avoid protests. But changing a rule this close to the season requires unanimous agreement from all teams. And why would Mercedes or Red Bull vote to ban their own invention? They wouldn't. So, we are heading for a standoff. Amidst this political storm, the new Mercedes W17 hit the track in Barcelona for the private shakedown, and the early signs are terrifying for the competition. On day one, while other teams were dealing with software glitches and system failures, the Mercedes ran like a Swiss watch. George Russell and his rookie teammate Kimi Antonelli completed 149 laps without a single reported issue. That reliability is staggering for a brand new car with a brand new engine formula. George Russell's comments after the session were even more telling. He didn't just say the car was reliable, he said it was fast. He called the drivability of the engine exceptional and noted that it felt even better on track than it did in the simulator. But perhaps the most interesting twist in this story comes from the customer teams. Remember, in 2026, Mercedes supplies engines to McLaren, Williams, and Alpine. If the Mercedes engine has a built-in cheat code, then these teams stand to benefit massively. Alpine, in particular, must be feeling very smug. They made the controversial decision to shut down their own Renault engine program and buy engines from Mercedes. At the time, it looked like a surrender. Now, it looks like a masterstroke. If they have purchased the best engine on the grid, Pierre Gasly might finally have the machinery to fight for podiums. Even Helmut Marko, the Red Bull advisor who usually takes every opportunity to criticize Mercedes, has been strangely quiet about their performance. He admitted weeks ago that he fears the Mercedes engine. When Helmut Marko is scared, you know something serious is happening. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with a fascinating dynamic. We have a potential technical breakthrough that is technically legal but politically toxic. We have a governing body that is scrambling to close a loophole they didn't see coming. And we have a grid of teams who are either rubbing their hands in glee or contacting their lawyers. The Barcelona test is happening behind closed doors, so we won't see the lap times on TV. But the GPS data doesn't lie. Rival teams will be tracking Mercedes. If that W17 is consistently faster on the straights than the Ferrari, we will know the engine trick is working. This is classic Formula One. It is an engineering war as much as a sporting one. Mercedes found a grey area and exploited it. Now, the rest of the paddock has to decide whether to copy them, ban them, or beat them on the track. The 2026 season was supposed to reset the order. It was supposed to level the playing field. Instead, it looks like it might have just handed the advantage back to the Silver Arrows. I want to know where you stand on this. Is the expanding rod trick a stroke of genius that should be celebrated? Or is it a cynical exploitation of a loophole that ruins the competition? This is the debate that will define the next 12 months of the sport. The engine war has begun, and right now, it looks like Mercedes brought a gun to a knife fight. We will be monitoring every leak and rumour from the Barcelona test this week. If you want the truth behind the PR statements, you are in the right place. The 2026 era is here. And it is already controversial, just the way we like it.